All right, well, welcome to our work session. The meeting is recorded as usual. We have a public hearing? No, okay. I don't know why it was on there. Old items discussion. The only one on here is right to know policy. Did you get the copy from Mr. Shreve? So we'll talk about that next time. He was working on something else, like
there were a couple parts that were confusing to me.
Okay. So either dialogue with him beforehand or come prepared to talk about it at the next work session. But Commissioner, I keep saying that, Attorney Shreve was not able to make it today. New items of discussion, the HR contract. I actually wasn't at the meeting, the governing board meeting, but I was involved in setting the thing up. Basically, months ago, back in July, actually before that, we had a retirement HR director up in Human Services, retired, and so we made a shift that we had budgeted for, which allowed us to consolidate HR from the county and from Human Services into one position, a shared position, roughly a 60-40 split, with DHS paying 40% of their wage, and this person's wage. And we never did formalize it. Thankfully, Judy brought it to my attention a couple weeks ago asking, are we going to do quarterly billing or what? And that made us realize we didn't have an agreement in place. So we put one together. It passed at the governing board, which governs the Department of Human Services. But now I believe the commissioners have to pass it. Ironically, even though we've already voted for it through governing board, we now have to pass it as the county. So that will be on the agenda for Wednesday. Is there anything you wanted to bring up about it? It's really standard, kind of just a motion. Agreement with Axon for the taser lease. Could you give us a brief explanation as to what that is?
Yes, our tasers currently are the X26s and they're obsolete. So it's the X26Ps now. And Axon contacted me in reference to this program, Taser 60 program. What they do is basically give us 10 brand new tasers. They're under warranty for 5 years. And we pay that fee up for the 5 years, and at the end of the 5 years, we get 10 more brand new tasers. And they're all under warranty for 10 years. It'd be the 5 years for the first 10 and then the second 10, 5 years. The current warranties on the Taser X26s that we purchased were only 2 years, and our tasers are dropping off they're just, I got 2 of them right now out of service. I'm borrowing a couple from the jail. So I think this program is actually a no-brainer because you look at the price. Oh, and the price is locked in at 2016 rates for the next 10 years.
How do they compare to the last rate that we're paying?
Every year is going to be $100 more. So this year $1,100 a taser. Next year it's going to be $1,200 a taser. This price will be locked in though. 2016 rates for the 10-year.
And we pay this out of your budget, correct?
Yes.
So, Judy, could we use P Comp or P Corp?
It's a regular thing, so I don't think so.
I don't believe so.
Okay. All right. Good try.
Yeah.
But you pay the
commissary.
You pay the 5 years, and then after the 5 years, there's no payment. You're paying for 20 tasers in 5 years. So at the end of the 5 years, we get 10 more tasers for the 5-year warranty.
Okay. Any questions on that? Nope. All right. Quarterly objectives / projects. We have spectrometry coming up on the agenda. Anything else on that?
No, I think we covered it at the last work session. We do have the contract. I asked Pam to get the contract over to Attorney Shreve for his review. I'm assuming we'll have that back by by our meeting on Wednesday.
He told me he has literally working on it now.
Oh, good.
So.
Okay, good.
Any other projects? We're actually pretty close to done, unless you.
Okay.
I mean, it's 10 after. So.
Okay.
We have already gone through the everything up to quarterly objectives. So, were there any projects that you wanted to update on?
No. This
This evening I'm going to the school district subcommittee meeting in order to do a presentation on the collaboration between the county and the school district. So
Yeah.
Based on that...
Oh, the 3C partnership?
Yeah. Based on that, I have a boilerplate agreement with them in order to start working with them. Once they're comfortable with it, I'll bring it back to the board at a work session in order to then carry out at one of our public meetings.
Okay. Oh, and freight. You got an update on freight.
Yes. So last week we had a meeting with Congressman Thompson, which was very productive. Shared with him the freight study and also a plan that was put together in 2002 in order to create a major connector to 86 and to increase investment in 60 to get up to 90. He was interested in it, wanted more information. So unfortunately, Dan Glotz is on a very necessary and needed vacation. So I started scheduling meetings in Chautauqua County, and I'm meeting with the executive director, and I met with people from their planning and zoning departments last week to get updated numbers on what the cost would be in order to create a connector to 86 and beyond.
And what was that total?
It was in the $160 million in that range total with engineering and other rehabilitational costs on the roads. And all the conversations that I've had with Chautauqua County have been very productive. Everybody's very interested in it. I'm really hoping that it's something that we can, that our county and Chautauqua County can come together on. At the very least, if this project doesn't move forward in any meaningful way, I think that it'll be a good start to a greater level of collaboration with Chautauqua County in general. Just because there is so much business and commerce that we share. And the hope is obviously there's a lot of discussion in Washington about transportation and about infrastructure, and so our hope is that we can put the right information together and do the right amount of lobbying on our behalf, that we can get something inserted into a transportation bill in order to finally get work started on what will be a long-term project to give us a greater level of transportation connectivity around the region. And the freight study obviously is the impetus of the entire thing. I think that it showcases Warren County's business development and ability, and I think that it's time to really use it as a tool to lobby Washington and Harrisburg to get increased transportation investment. So.
Good. How about marketing task force? Meeting coming up?
We have a meeting on Wednesday. I've been very impressed with how the group has developed. Chuck Gray is the chairman of the group. They've taken off on their own and done a variety of really creative research and ideas, and I think that at this point I feel pretty confident that when the report comes out that it'll be different than anything anybody's seen. And the best part is it's all done with volunteer labor, or at least everybody that's involved in the group is volunteering, and we haven't had to hire any consultants or anything, and the information is very local and very smart and insightful. So I'm excited about the group. It's going well. So Wednesday at 7 at WCCBI is our next public meeting.
Okay. Good. Oh, early intervention. I should note that we got a second. Oh, that we opened that in the last meeting, didn't we?
Yeah.
We opened the second bid from PA Economy League, and Lori evaluated them, and it looked like she was recommending Susquehanna from the email.
Yeah. Well,
Largely due to cost. I mean, it was just more expensive.
the thing is that the economy league's pitch was a lot more. It seemed a lot bigger than Susquehanna's. I think that was kind of the thing. Was that
Yeah.
Susquehanna's was more financially focused, whereas the economy league was capable of doing a bit more.
Well, and they were subcontracting some of it out.
Oh, that's
A lot
true.
of it out,
Yeah,
actually.
that's true.
So, how do we feel? We want to look at these, evaluate the two proposals, vote on it, put it out for more bids. I mean, I don't know what good that would do because we've gone twice now.
Have you read Lori's email?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with Susquehanna, to be honest. I think the fiscal focus is the most important.
I guess what I'm really asking is, do we want to put this on the agenda for Wednesday and vote on it?
I'm fine with that if you want to.
I'd be fine with that.
Okay, let's have the discussion then. Reminds me, before I forget, is there anything else we want to put on the agenda?
I don't have anything.
You've got your pictometry, the HR. We got the 911 dispatching on there. We don't have tower leases on yet.
I've been dealing with that one tower lease for 10 years. A couple of weeks isn't going to matter.
I know. It'd be really nice if we could get that done.
But at least that tower lease, we have handshakes with the people that are there. The main one was the one that the owners had passed away. That was
Right.
We got the important one done, really.
Right. Okay. Very good. So let's go ahead and add that. Let's see. Just looking through to see if there's anything else. By the way, what is the update on your virtual hub? I haven't really heard. I've heard everyone praising it, but I haven't seen it myself. So.
It is. It's kind of like the new iPhone.
I'm sure.
It's really that great. It's not. No, I mean basically, the deadline is the next secretary's meeting, which I believe is either at the end of this year. It's like January.
January.
Yeah. So by then, the goal is to have the secretaries utilizing it, and like right now we're in this training cycle. So I've trained the people that are part of like the administrative group, but I haven't trained any of the secretaries. So we have a meeting scheduled where they're going to come here and we're going to do a training in the courthouse, and then basically give them test projects to work on. That shouldn't take that much, but so that we can get some feedback from them on how they utilize the system.
Right.
So it's just.
Are the bike trails bit done?
So, yeah, well, they're very close. So,
Okay.
The Hunter, I think it's Hunter Smith, I can never remember his name. Hunter Smith is working, is working with a company that's making all the benches, and so they're making them right now. We'll be installing them over the next few weeks. So my goal, I told them, I told them drop dead that we needed it done before winter, so that we don't have to install them in the freezing cold.
Yeah.
And they're gonna push, and which is fine. I mean, he's doing it for a badge, and he's been very gracious to do a lot of hard work, so I really appreciate it. But yeah, we're gonna sometime in the next month we're gonna be installing the benches, and I'm really excited about the project actually, because I think they're gonna look great, and they're actually kind of cool because they're made out of concrete, but they have a stamp on them, so they're supposed to look like wood, and like so it'll be pretty cool.
It looks nice, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, good. Civil process software, one quick update on that. At a record, what is that committee called? The records meeting? The
Records.
Records retention.
fund meeting, yeah. Either way, yes.
Records improvement.
Records improvement, there we go. Thank you. What did we decide? Was it 60,000?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 60,000 would be allocated towards civil process software. No real update on getting more additional quotes or finding other resources, just something to note.
So I'm sorry that I wasn't able to attend that meeting. Civil process software. What is
That's
it?
the sheriff's.
Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
the Telesoft
Okay.
Tyler
Yep.
conversation, Cisco. Market Street sidewalk's done, right?
Yep.
Cool. Right to know, we'll talk about next week, tan. We put everything out to bid for that,
Mhm.
right? So we'll be getting...
Doesn't come in until sometime in November,
Right.
a week or so.
Okay, so in a few weeks,
Oh.
we'll be buying in.
I only had 3 banks ask me for information
Okay,
on it.
the same 3 as last year.
Well, we had 4 last year.
Oh.
Well, actually, no, it's not the same 3 as last year. We had 3 last year. One of them last year couldn't do it because they were being bought and sold transitioning. So they're doing it this year, but one of the other ones that did last year, we may still get a bid from them, but they've not asked me for a bit of information.
Okay. Jail HVAC, do you have any update on that?
Well, they're working on it. I mean, it's all of the documentation's been signed, so
Right. It's really done from our perspective then.
yeah,
Okay, good.
Matt's handling it.
Yeah. And I heard, he told me something about another one going above the courtroom.
Yeah, I don't know if it was an air conditioning system or something. I had it was leaking.
Yeah. Well, it was leaking, but the reason that it sounded like a real story. We'll want to get the full story. I'm not going to botch it here. 2018 budget. We have only had 1 meeting so far. We're going to be having more in the coming weeks. 2017 audit. Almost done.
I couldn't tell you.
Oh, right. I forgot.
Honestly, they've quit asking me for information. I finally got a rough draft because I pushed and pushed to get it so I could get information out for people that are bidding on the TAM. They needed it.
Right.
So they gave me a rough draft, which basically is the numbers without any findings, without much verbiage or anything else to it. Then after I got the rough draft, out of the blue, Joe called Denny looking for some more information on Department of Human Services, which is really its own little unit because it has a separate audit. So I'm not sure what's going on. And then to add to that, the letter that Pam got today,
Which was what?
That are not. We put the auditing services for the county up for bid, and that they decided that they're not going to be bidding as part of our next contract. So.
Okay.
I'm worried we're going to have dragging feet on the close of this audit, which I don't believe there's any reason. I don't know any reason for that. And this out of the blue last minute thing to Denny about DHS, which is really a nothing thing to audit, bothers me. So I hate to say I don't know what's going on with it, but at this point I don't know what's going on with it. I hate to say we've made him mad because we did an RFP, but I feel we made him mad because we did an RFP.
So be it.
And honestly, in the natural timing of how often you switch to a different audit firm, it was time to be looking at doing
I know that
that.
they bid it out every year. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know, you know.
Yeah.
I hate to say when it gets here, it'll get here, but when it gets here, it'll get here.
Oh, when bids are due the end of today for auditing services 2017, right? Good. Okay, so we'll review those at the next public meeting, or do we want to open that at the meeting on Wednesday? I'm kind of eager to see them. So.
Pam said they weren't sealed bids, so really
Yeah.
there wasn't any.
Because of the professional service, they're not a sealed bid.
Okay.
And so during that process, they can be opened at any time.
Well,
There's
then why
not
don't
really
we-
a bid process.
Let's look at it on Wednesday then.
At the public meeting? Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, Pam could actually, from what Pam said, she could technically open them now and distribute them.
Yeah.
So everybody
And
has a
distribute
chance
them
to
so
look
that
at
you
them.
would have that.
Yeah, we can review them and even discuss them at the meeting.
Mhm.
That'd be fine. Okay.
Your copy, nice. I wanted to
Good.
leave you to.
And Maximus, is that in play? or is
Maximus
that-
is not starting until we tell them the audit is finished, because basically they don't, I will say that's a little bit of fear of mine for the upcoming year, because we have this, whether it's Susquehanna or whoever, we have a consulting firm that's going to be going over the finances, we will have a brand new audit firm who is going to be learning from ground one what Warren County has or doesn't have compared to the other counties, and then we'll have Maximus, and all 3 of those on fiscal and on treasury are going to be major time consumers. And to have each one of them kicking in here at the start of the year, which they will be, it's going to be tough.
Well, the good thing is, I think that in all of those cases, I don't know. I mean, obviously Susquehanna would be a question mark one way or the other, but the other two are probably going to be very professional in the way that they work. And
Oh, definitely, but all of them are going to just be request for information,
Yep.
request after
No,
request. which is
absolutely.
just Really, it's going to be a
It's a
lot
huge
to have
challenge.
all three at once.
Mhm.
All three are good moves. All three are needed things. I'm not, not fussing against that. I'm
Yeah.
just thinking it's going to be a lot.
Mhm.
You think you'll need more resources?
I honestly was just sitting here worrying about that. I really was, which is a hard time to pull in more resources because
Yeah,
you
you don't
need
have
people
time
who
to
know
train.
what's been going on. So bringing someone new at that point is even kind of tough. I was trying to figure out what the good solution was.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
And I'm not 60 yet, so that
Oh, Carol.
Judy, occasionally I picture you at home with a wall with like X's on it.
Okay.
I'll put in a purpose order. We can have a countdown these for our computers.
Wow.
There you go.
All right. The boiler, by the way, is also like done, right? From our.
From our standpoint. I would say though, maintenance-wise, one thing I keep forgetting to talk to you about is the engineering firm through R.W. Larson and people they're working with are putting together a feasibility study on rehabbing the courthouse.
Oh.
So that they can bring it to us, and then depending upon what that's going to cost, we can take a look at whether we're going to initiate that or how we would initiate it. It's separated into two pieces. One is the roof, the other is the exterior, and
So that would be like repointing and stuff?
yeah.
And that is in your mailbox, came in today.
Oh, there you go. So they had their super expert roof guy come through.
Is that an official title?
That's a technical term. It's very technical stuff. I mean, they're engineers, after all. But yeah,
I'll go with engineer.
yeah. The roofing technical guy. And anyway, they have this guy that's. I mean, I don't know. He's some super expert in roofs, slate roofs, and historic roofs. And he went through and said that. He basically felt pretty confident about the structure of the roof, that it's in decent shape across the board, that there are some things that need to be done as far as updates, and then obviously some of the stuff that was done with the roof to kind of band-aid it need to be fixed. And so that's what's going to be a part of the proposal. It isn't, he didn't feel like there needed to be any dramatic work done to the roof or anything excessive, but that it definitely needs some work just because, deterioration over time, and then also some of the work that was done, 20 years ago to kind of band-aid it needs to be updated and fixed permanently. But the state of the roof generally is fairly good.
Good.
As far as the important parts of it.
Great. That's good to hear. Okay. Last update from me would be the co-working space. The DCED is requesting more information of me for the co-working space, so I'll be putting in an application over the course of the next couple weeks for grant funding. That'll be run through the WCCBI. Are any of these something you want to move into the active category, Jeff?
Well, the jail locks and elevator, not the jail locks, but the elevator, I've engaged R.W. Larson to take over the elevator to evaluate it, both that elevator and then the north or the south elevator.
Okay.
The south elevator, just to have them look at it, just because we've had a few different quotes, and again, it's one of those situations that I want them to make sure that whatever it is that needs to be done legitimately does. With the elevator, the jail elevator, I supplied them with the information from Steve Sigmund and the work that he did previously, and basically we're going to have them go in and then do like a full evaluation of the elevator with the goal of getting us a proposal, like a ballpark figure, so that of what it should cost or potentially could cost, and bid documents, so that then we can have a discussion about either putting it on the capital list for next year or the year after. But so that we know we have a really solid figure of what it's going to cost.
Right. I pushed voting machines back into backlog because we're not really doing anything about that this year.
Well, the big problem is,
state hasn't approved Dominion.
well, in true Pennsylvania fashion, we try to make everything as complicated as possible, and so they're set up. Now, I suppose somebody would say, I think that they might have been, some of their stuff might have been approved by the state already, but they have a federal process that they have to go through, and that's what's holding it up in the state of PA. It's been approved. Their machines have been approved in Michigan, everywhere else except for Pennsylvania. I really hope that they get them approved and approved soon, just because our machines are getting old, and the ones that they have, Dominion have a new setup with a lease agreement where you basically can lease the machines over a period of time rather than having to, although I suppose there's a case to be made to set money aside over a period of time and then make a purchase. But those voting machines cost so much money, it's pretty huge, and so when they break, you've got to buy them. But anyway, back to the Dominion machines are nice because they have more options to go to a paper ballot, and which requires fewer machines. So instead of having 56 or 57 machines, we could literally have 20, some odd machines, and we might even be able to, move. We'd have to talk about it, but kind of, adjust the way we handle elections in order to even have fewer machines. And
to be clear, that system, lest anyone get concerned, has a benefit in that we have a physical paper copy, but they're still counted just as fast and efficient as an electronic one.
Yeah. Well, one of the issues that we had when we brought up paper ballots to the volunteer workers and the election workers was, oh gosh, we don't want to do that. It's going to be a lot of work for us. And in their mind, they were counting ballots and doing a lot of different stuff with it. Really, they won't have to do anything other than if the ballot gets kicked back by somebody. The machine has a speed scanner. You put it in there, it shoots right through and goes into a basket. It gets scanned into an electronic machine, and that gets then uploaded into her server when it's brought back here. Okay. So you have your paper copy, the machine copy, and then the database copy, which can then be accessed years later, like through a database on the computer. Like right now, this is one complaint that we've had all the time, is that there's no paper trail, like what, even though I've said repeatedly that those machines, it would take a monumental conspiracy to try to do something to them. This would this would be as fail-safe as you can get a system. So, and that's the thing is the machines that we have are, whatever it is, almost 15 years old or 12 years old. I can't remember when it was after the 2001 election.
I think it was 2004 is when we got them.
Or 2004, okay.
No, you're right, it was the 2000 election. But
yeah, that prompted the HAVA money to buy the machines. And so we got rid of the giant metal machines that had lasted for 60 years or whatever. I got these electronic machines that last a whole 15 years, which is actually better than your average calculator, but that's just what they are, basically. But they're big calculator. That's it. But anyway, the Dominion machines, Lisa and I had gone to a presentation last year, and I think that election-wise, for people that have concerns about electioneering and election security, they'd be top of the line, and we could get fewer of them. But that's a whole other debate to have.
If we lease machines, which to me, for elections machines, that sounds like a good idea. If we lease machines, do we keep them and hold them, or do we just pick them up when we have an election?
No, well, we would keep them,
Okay.
and then they would swap them out every 5 or 6 years. It's like everything with the way people are looking at it now, and this is one of the downsides of the HAVA money, is the federal money came in, paid for all the machines. So now the counties have all these machines. Well, now they're starting over time to break down. Well, if you had to replace, and now all the machines are updated, so you can't use these same machines anymore.
That's why.
So you got to buy new machines. Now, to buy them, the whole thing, I mean, it was some like ridiculous number. I can't even remember what it was, Pam, because it was like, was it $1 million or $500,000? It was like enough money where it was like there was no way you were going to make a purchase in 1 year. And so now all the counties are lobbying Washington and Harrisburg to say we need to do something about these election machines. Well, this is the new strategy, is for these people, and of course they're chomping at the bit to get these leases going, because then they get the machines rotated out on a regular basis and can make more money, because right now they have to go around and lobby counties to replace their machines, and so you'd rather, it's one or the other. You either save a little bit of money over time and then make purchases when necessary, or you do a lease agreement. I mean, that's my perspective on it, I guess, because trying to buy these machines individually is just, it's pretty expensive.
Is that a CCAP initiative?
They are taking...
Well, they talk about it. I mean, at CCAP, the election machine thing, it's just never like a major priority, because everybody knows how much it's going to cost, so it always gets pushed back, And I mean, when you have a budget impasse and nobody knows where they're getting their money, I mean, the election machines kind of get moved to the back of the line. So I don't know. They think 2019, by then they'll be in business with the new machines. They have
The presidential election.
yeah. Oh, I'm sure they're crossing their fingers to get up and running for that. But there are a couple other options, but from what I've seen, they're not very good. So I don't know. It's something that we got to keep in the back of our mind, I guess.
Okay, good. Any other updates? That was pretty much all our projects that are... By the way, I just calculated out, looks like, we're a third of the way through we're more than that, but we're doing pretty well. I think we've got a quarter of the projects that we identified done, so that's good.
One of the things that I'll be talking about again pretty soon is the whole recycling bit, and also like the work release and worker bit too. I had a really good meeting with McKean County last week, and the commissioners there, and they have a really amazing program out there where they have a poor farm that they've had for, 150 years or 100 years, and it was empty. And 5 or 6 years ago, the judge there initiated a program where they have, they do farming, they do woodworking, they do crafts, all kinds of different stuff. And they basically, people that are on probation and some inmates go out there and they work during the course of the day. All the food that they grow, they sell to fund the program, and what's left over they take to the jail, and then they eat it in the jail. And it's just it was just a really neat program, but it got me thinking about the warehouse and about the recycling program just in general, because I've had a lot of interest from a couple of groups that want to volunteer and work in it and help develop the program. So I think I'm going to kind of revisit that. It's been on hold to some degree because of the state budget situation. With grants and everything. The other thing I wanted to say is that I've had to work my way through a lot of different contacts at DEP to finally get some people to talk to about a topic that could potentially fund the program. So
okay. Do you want to? Let's just plan on giving a presentation on it, like a full-blown 15-minute when you get that result.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Anything from department heads or constituents?
The only thing the 911, I don't know if Commissioner Eggleston or Commissioner Morrison had any questions on the Forest County process, because I don't know if I'll be here Wednesday, because we have a tabletop exercise with the nursing homes.
Yeah, I saw that. I think
Wednesday morning.
It's at 10.
Yeah, it may be done, but
Yeah, I think I'll stop by on my way through and then just stay for an hour or something. If that doesn't...
it really, the water
Yeah.
outage kind of really brought it to head to different, because it's, it's pretty, it's an eye-opener. Well, we had any issues, but it was kind of an eye-opener. Maybe we need to
Have a conversation.
talk about this a little bit more often. And, they all have plans. Each of the nursing homes, by law, have to have 3 days worth of water. But 3 days is a really long time when you start.
Well, yeah, and if there was some kind of catastrophic failure of the system, I mean, how long would it take to get that up and running? What if the water's poisoned?
Right, and you see it. It's happened all these other places with Katrina, Texas. All of a sudden, nobody goes to work at the nursing homes, and unfortunately, people die, and a lot of them. So it's
Very good.
and invited to this one. Warren Manor actually spearheaded it, but it's Warren Manor, Corey Manor, Bradford Manor, Rouse Home, and Kinzu Valley. So, because they were already, talking to each other that day that there was a water outage. Warren Manor and Kinzu were already talking to, Bradford Manor. Hey, what did you do? And the Rouse Home was already contacting them, going, hey, what can we do for you? We have water. What do we need to do? They're already talking about things like that. And obviously, we were on the emergency management side of it too. It's good to know that there's. One other thing I have, as I mentioned in a previous meeting, was the hazardous materials commodity flow study. I have a hard copy for commissioners to look at and Pam to put on file. I sent all 3 of the commissioners a digital copy. I sent Josh a digital copy too of this to your email. Dan Watts has a copy of it in the planning office, and I have a copy of mine. Really, the hazardous materials commodity flow study, there wasn't any big surprises. Hey, we've got a whole bunch of tankers that go through.
They're filled with
Are we
explosive
surprised?
material.
Are we surprised? So, but I mean, it's interesting. It's like anything else. You can make numbers look however you want to, but when you start looking at some of the numbers of,
I wish you'd tell Judy that.
you can make them do whatever you want. Whatever you want to do. But when you look at when they did this too, this is in cooperation with our contractor, MCM. This was a grant through, that came through the state. It's federal. That was all done by money from the vendors, as in, what I want to say, like the fees that are paid by hazardous materials shippers. Here in Warren County, we have 4 major pipelines that traverse throughout the county, different places. Obviously, Columbia Gas and MT Gathering, the Connington Pipeline, and the National Fuel Gas. These are main supply lines. They're not. We're not talking about the little lines that go to houses and stuff. These are major supply lines. Obviously, we have our railroad. Somehow, I just realized in here that they didn't list the Norfolk Southern, which crosses into the tip corner of the just Norfolk Southern only touches 2 municipalities in Warren County, but it does.
Yeah, because I thought, isn't that the one that's west of us?
Norfolk Southern just kind of comes out of New York State and comes down into Freehold and does this really weird U shape and then back out through Columbus. Yeah. We'll talk about that railroad here in just a minute, but on a different note. But as you can see in here, there's what they did was counts for stuff. And, you know, it was like Route 59 in Dairy Delight, you know, May 25th, they were there from 2 p.m. in the afternoon till 2 p.m. in the afternoon the next day. You know, not a big day that day. You know, but when you start looking at, you know, quick fill in Pittsfield, Route 6, eastbound, westbound, you know, you start adding those up, there's 371 hazardous materials vehicles that went by there. And then on 27, you know, coming the other way, there's another 71. So, yeah, it's 440 hazardous materials coming through there. Not a lot over in the Sugar Grove area. We made sure we hit the main arteries. But then obviously the number one is right out front. We did this in cooperation with the jail. The jail put people out watching out the window or sitting out front and counted over a 24-hour period. There were 650.
I now understand why they were there. I saw them and I was like, what are they doing?
Everybody asked, and I just started making stuff up. I didn't know. It's like, why? There's a guy out there. Like, what is he doing? I'm like, I don't know. It's like
counting vehicles.
Okay.
But there were 656 over that 24-hour period. 656 vehicles went.
Or 62.
Yeah. And you look at the PennDOT traffic studies for Warren County. You can pull up a map on PennDOT site, and from 4th Street to North Warren on Market/Route 62, that's the #1 traffic flow in Warren County. And then the next is the 4-lane between Youngsville and Warren. Or actually between Youngsville and Route 62. You know, I mean, that's 656 between mixed loads, tankers, you know, even municipal waste, because, you know, that's hazardous materials. You don't know what's in the back of that thing. But this has a lot of definitions in there and stuff. We don't have a major, one thing is people talk about the railroad. One thing we don't have is like the bulk and crude that other areas have that's going through the area. United doesn't use any bulk and crude, the high volatile stuff. Fortunately, we don't have that going through Warren County. Most of the crude that comes into United comes from the Pennington pipeline out of Canada. But our railroad is ethanol, it's coming into United, and then propane, and mostly asphalt going out of United. A lot of people don't realize that United Refining is not a gasoline manufacturing refinery. It is an asphalt producing refinery. Gasoline and all that stuff is byproducts. So that's its major. That's why they don't use Pennsylvania graded crude. It's not dirty enough for them. They need the black oil out of Canada. So that's, you know, so we don't have, and unfortunately that's one of the things that we don't worry as much, you know, obviously with the rail, because most of the rail going through Warren County, the rail line that comes from Columbus all the way through and out through Sheffield, most of the stuff is either coming in or going out of Warren County. We don't have any high-speed rail that, you know, there's nothing going through Warren County.
We're working on that.
Right.
We'll get that.
But
Ben knows Elon Musk, so.
Cool.
Yeah, right.
But, so if there's any questions, ask me any questions, shoot me anything. You know, it's hard to sometimes read a little bit of the figures, but it's tough. The only other thing that I have is completely separate from this, talking about the Norfolk Southern line. I saw in the news tonight that they are going to start a passenger rail service from Jamestown to Buffalo. Like going to get people to the casinos and things like that.
Oh.
But when they popped up the map on that, the map shows they're using that Norfolk Southern line.
Which crosses in.
Which, if, you know, that's something that maybe Warren and Erie County needs to start looking at, because in Columbus/Corey area,
That runs right
Norfolk
through.
Southern and And that's where Norfolk Southern and the Tennessee, Wyoming.
Yeah, they cross right at the Diamond in Corey.
Yes,
Interesting.
yes.
And a potential nightmare too, but potential opportunity.
Yes, it's a potential opportunity. If they're going to start from, this excursions, I don't think it's going to be a daily service. I think it's going to be a specialized service. As we
Yeah.
talked about using old coaches and things like that.
That'd be fun. Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Of going from Jamestown to Buffalo, the area. But for us to get something at the Lottsville Mill that people can get on there instead of getting on Jamestown.
Right.
I just saw that the other day and I thought I would bring it
Potentially
up.
Columbus itself. The important thing is to keep it out of Corey, the city. That's the county. Cool.
When they popped
Wait, that
up
rail line stops, doesn't that go right by Walmart, basically?
Yes.
Yeah, it does. That would be a cute spot for, and it could be.
I'd have to look at the map, but I'm not sure if that's which rail that is.
Well, there's
that one, and then there's the rail over there over further.
Well, that's closer to
Scott.
426, right, to Scott Crossing.
So
I'm pretty sure it's the
closest to
northern one.
Walmart. The one closest to Walmart would be the Norfolk side.
Yeah, so Erie County screwed us over when they, when they got Walmart on their side of the border, a few feet from Warren County.
Right.
Maybe we could get this on our side of the county.
We get this on our side of the county.
That's a cool idea.
But,
Okay.
Yeah, because the map came up on TV. And I mean, it was like it showed the rails and it showed Warren and
Yeah.
they were kind of grayed out. It's like, wait a second, that's the Norfolk Southern line in Montana.
Cool. All right, well, seeing as everyone's leaving, I guess we should shut it down.
Me either.
Jeff and Ben, you both saw the renewals that came in from P-Comp for workers' comp.
Yeah,
Mm,
for the 70 some odd increase.
Oh, yes, that, yeah.
Is there anything else we do, investigate, look at, or whatever, or we just roll with it?
Well, I think considering our circumstances, I don't know. I mean, I suppose we could have a conversation to see what other options there are.
I didn't know. I mean, that's a heck of a jump from one year to the next.
It's a crazy jump.
Yeah.
It is, but didn't we have claims?
Yeah, well, I mean,
our mod rate must have changed.
it
Yes.
must have gone right in the tank.
Yeah. To be frank.
I mean, the thing.
I mean, we were at what, 0.8?
We were one of the lowest.
We were one of the lowest, and I'm very confident we're now above 1. So
Okay.
I don't know who would take us right now.
Okay.
And that's what, a 3-year average, the mod rate?
I honestly don't know. I just totally looked at the price that we're going to be paying next year versus this year.
I don't know if we're going to be able. I mean, I'm happy to
Okay.
shop it if we can. It's just I don't know who's going to want us right now.
Well, and it's hard for me to believe that I mean, everybody uses that organization, and how would we get a better service for it? You wouldn't know until you shopped it around, I guess.
Well, aren't we pulled also, though?
Yeah.
Isn't that what it is?
Yeah,
So
right.
I'm surprised, knowing the couple of incidents we've had, that even being pulled, that ours jumped that much. I mean, basically, there had to be other counties with.
I don't know. The only thing, the question I would have is was ours really low for a long period of time, and it just, those 2 cases were huge enough that it shot us up into like a more normal range, for everybody else. I don't know. I mean, we should have a conversation about that, though.
And the other thing is the rates jumped. I mean, for clerical and office work, the rates went down. The rate you pay per 100 or per your payroll. And for the sheriff and law enforcement, the rates went up from like, what was it, 670
Oh, yeah, I
to
did see
690. And that's where our payroll's increasing too. So when we have,
Right.
so we know next year's is going to be
Yeah.
worse yet. I mean, because
Yeah.
our payroll's increasing.
Yeah.
Right.
I do know, like, with Jonesboro, their comp, they started according to what the carrier pushing towards it, started a safety committee and started doing, like trainings and different things.
And our wellness committee does
So that
that.
might be something to
Yeah,
hit them on, okay, what do we need to do to lower these?
Not to discuss like personal information, but I think that the cases that we've had have been so unique that I don't know that there were
It was
preventable.
kind of a perfect storm.
Yeah, I don't know that they're preventable.
Right,
We-
but to make
To
things
a
lower,
speed bump, you mean?
Oh, yeah,
what
no.
do we do?
Yeah.
We do push for those credits already, because the
Right.
driver's training course that we run brings us something back, and
Right.
a few other
And we
things.
generally-
I don't know if there's something more we can push that reduces that
Yes.
rate back down
Right.
a fraction,
Right.
but it's...
They're pretty happy with us.
at
They
this
did
point.
that walkthrough audit,
Uh-huh.
and we fixed everything. It's like for years, previous boards had just like ignored it, I guess, and we came in and changed everything that they asked. So they're really happy with us right now.
Come through the annex building.
I'd rather...
Yeah, they did. We did.
They do.
I'd rather get them to keep the P-Comp grant
Yeah.
and reduce our rates than to say, yeah, we're raising your rates, but by the way, we're going to give you,
Something to that. Great. All right. Anything else?
No.
Very good. We'll adjourn at 1. Thanks.